One of the things that I wanted to express to you all is that you can truly be fearful of love. Every experience that we have is filed away and it's pulled for future references. But what happens if you file a memory incorrectly, especially as it relates to a threat? In the movie that I started with, the lady who was fearful of love, somewhere in her memory bank, there was a storage of information that said connectivity is connected and associated with fear and maltreatment. And the only way that her brain could have gathered that information and stored it in such a way was to have in the past reached out and tried to connect with other people, and that reach was met with hurt. So remember, our brains are wired to protect us and for survival. So what do if we think something is even tampering with our survival? We fight it or we run from it. Yes, it's possible to be fearful of love, especially if you have never experienced true, authentic love. Why? Because things that are unfamiliar can be very frightening. Now, there are different types of love, right? You have the relationship love, the romantic love, you have the friendship love. But I just want to talk today about that agape love. I mean, that unconditional love that when you connect with it, it gives you a sense of protection and security. I mean, that type of love that truly sets you free when you connect with it. So if our responses are based on the memories filed, that means the fear of love is a memory recall issue, and it is a lack of knowledge. So here's an example. Guy. Baby, I love you. Girl. How do you know? How do you know? Right? We think that emotions are feelings. Sometimes they give us a little butterfly feeling. But love truly is knowledge and intelligence. Another scenario, friend one. Girl, I really think you should get back into the world and start dating again. It's been like 5 years. Friend two. Girl, no, the last time I tried that, I got hurt. Memory recall issue. So what she was doing in that scenario was recalling the last time she did it, and it created a fear in the present for a future event that has not even happened yet. So no, I am not proposing that we create a memory eraser. And sometimes I would like to. I'm like, if I can just erase that part right there. Just that, from that moment to that moment. What I'm instead proposing is that we create new counteracting memories that override the lies and the stories we have been telling ourselves. So you see, I believe that our greatest sufferings sometimes is not even from what actually happened to us. It's from the lies and the stories we told ourselves after the event. They left me, they hurt me. So now the lie that we tell ourselves and the story that we tell ourselves is, well, I must not be good enough. Maybe I'm not wanted. Maybe I wasn't the awesome woman that I thought I was, right? Those are the lies and the stories we begin to tell ourselves. So how in the world do we decrease the strength of these unhelpful lies? And how do we forge brand new helpful memories? And there's one way I believe that I'd like to share, and that's through a form of operant conditioning called extinction. So what extinction is it's basically when you extinguish or you stop the response, or when you stop the behavior that's connected to a memory by ceasing to reinforce what used to trigger you. So I'll explain. What researchers did with rats was they would train the rat to become fearful of a sound. And they would do this by sounding the alarm and administering a shock. They would sound the alarm and administer a shock, so much so to where they could simply sound the alarm and the rat would be fearful of the sound, not even the shock, because they stopped the shock. And then they wanted to make that learned behavior, they wanted to extinguish that fear, so they kept on sounding the alarm, but not administering the shock until the rat learned to no longer fear that sound. That's extinction. So it's almost as if the rat's brain said, okay guys, Amy and Hippocampus, Miss Hippo over here, that sound used to trigger a response in us, and it used to be a threat, but it's no longer a response. So you don't have to be fearful anymore. It's almost as if the brain was to say, the coast is now clear. You are free to no longer fear that experience. And back in March 21st, 2016, I had my very first extinction experience. It was the first day in 26 years that I heard my father's voice for the very first time. We had no connection for 26 years. And one of the very first things that my father said was, I have been looking for you. And he said, I never stopped loving you. And in that moment, I'm breaking down crying on the phone. The reason why that statement meant so much to me was because for 26 years, I had been telling myself that I'm not wanted, that I'm not good enough, and that no man would truly love me. So when he said those words, it was as if those lies were completely eradicated, because they were met with new knowledge, supported and espoused by an experience. And so what I want to tell you all is that love didn't hurt you. Love didn't abuse you. It didn't leave you. It was the person that you loved that did those things to you. And what happens though is we end up generalizing that experience and saying, that person hurt me, so I'm never doing this again. And what happens is we forsake the ability to be who we truly are, which is loving beings. And we forsake the opportunity to receive what we truly need and love and desire, which is love and belonging. Psychologist Maslow says that we will never be able to reach our fullest potential if we do not obtain a sense of love and belonging. So I wonder, what would life be like if we fully surrendered to love? If we fully let go and said, I'm willing to receive this thing, maybe even if it's unfamiliar, I'm willing to receive this thing that you are telling me has the opportunity and the ability to give me a sense of freedom.